mean, that's not how you change the world, just sitting around getting high and talking about it.
I suggested that Occupy visit the community board meeting.
Yes, that's what I'm saying. They got to get involved with the world and how it's...
Because in other words,
can
I say this? Occupy Wall Street used to stay here 24 hours
Can
a day.
he interview you? Do you mind?
No, I don't mind.
Yeah, turn that one.
I just wanted to say that Occupy used to stay when they were moved from Zuccotti Park, they used to stay right here in Union Square Park 24 hours a day. However, there was some discussion behind the scenes about the events of Zuccotti Park, it being like a private park owned by some sort of leased from the city by some sort of company based in San Francisco or something. So they wanted to be sure that that this company that leased Zuccotti Park was adhering to rules which were amenable to the community surrounding Zuccotti Park and to the business improvement zone around there. So I take it that this is probably the same type of issue that is occurring at Union Square. In other words, like the people that live in the buildings surrounding the park have certain issues with the usage of the park by
No, but this is a city park. See, Zuccotti was privately owned. They allowed them to build higher buildings, and in return for letting them build the higher building, they had to take so much of the property and make it a public. But it was still owned by the private company. This is owned by the city of New York. This is a whole different ballgame.
Even so, it was basically a public issue down at Zuccotti Park about the usage of the park.
The point is, they have a good idea, but you just can't hang out and beat on drums all day and yell and scream and think that's changing the world. If you want to change the world, you got to get involved with, the world and what's happening, and go to like you said, go to meetings, get involved with political things. You just can't talk about it.
There's a problem here somewhere.
With what?
The issue is that, for instance, when people cede their authority to the state and the representatives that they elect,
correct,
they're basically giving up a form of their personal power to apply themselves to the issue. I think that's how what the mentality of people is. They say, well, if I vote, either I can adhere to the issues that we're dealing with on a personal level, like for instance, the orientation of self-security. I mean, each man could actually, if they relegate the obligation of security to each one of us, that means we're going to have to apply ourselves to have permit systems to carry firearms and be alert and aware. That's the old system. That's every man dealing with their own individual security, individual fortune protection. Like if you got money in your house or livestock or land, you understand what I'm saying? We ceded that authority to the police, and we believe that the police. Yes, what we're saying is yes. In other words, when we no longer, there was an actual period of time when we decided, okay, nobody's going to carry their own firearm. We're going to yield that authority to a sheriff and a deputy or a police force. That actually happened in the course of the history of the United States.
You're saying that back in the days of the Wild West, people carried guns.
Yeah, and they were responsible for their own security, whether they're in the wilderness or in
but
between.
If we all walked around and they carried guns.
I don't want to go off on a tirade. I'm saying that's the reality of it. Either we're personally responsible for our security, or we cede that authority to a central authority. And see, and in so doing, we make ourselves vulnerable. Okay, to an agent, to the judgment of a central body for our personal security. Now I've had all kinds of stuff stolen from me right here in this park. Now this is what I'm being told. There's like 700 cameras and listening devices all over Union Square Park. And they asked them on 60 Minutes. They said, why are there so many cameras? They say, well, it's for the tourists. We don't want these commoners and these straggler people, these drug dealers, and people who will kidnap people or whatever, molesting the tourists. We want to keep it a viable tourist area. Okay? Now I'm like, wait a minute. I mean, this is almost like capitalization. I mean, tourists are more valuable than to the city tax base or whatever than regular people in the city. And why is that? When these are the very people that yielded their authority to these people who are sitting downstairs. You'll see any cops up here because they got 900 view screens downstairs watching anything and everything that goes on in this park. But I'm saying there's a poster on that corner there. There's like a monument that a straight truck made a right turn heading east on 14 to make a right turn on Broadway, ran over some girl and killed her. That was like 2 weeks ago. And no arrests have been made. Nobody's...
Didn't you say they found
Oh, he wasn't arrested yet?
They don't know who did it. According to the
Somebody told me they got him, but not true.
According to
Obviously.
that monument, I don't know what. See, here's a relationship. What do the police have any relationship to these people in this park?
No.
Other than just sitting there watching a view screen and being paid out of the tax base, which they believe is supported by the Business Improvement District. You see what I'm saying? It's, if not to break the conversation, is dichotomous. They believe that their salaries and their paychecks are being paid by the business district around here, like Starbucks and Shoemania and Whole Foods and Auburn Paint and all these places. Okay, so what do these commoners in the park represent? If we should get our belongings stolen and we ask the police, I don't know. They got 900 cameras in the park. They know everybody who stole anything.
Do you have an apartment or are you homeless?
I'm not homeless. I live outdoors. I live outdoors.
Where do you
because
live in the winter outdoors?
I tend to live where I can find where I can accommodate myself during the winter.
No,
I don't want to specify because then I get all these bug-eyed police state people.
No, let's focus about Occupy.
Yeah, Occupy was down there, and then they were up here. So, in other words, this is what I created the conversation in my head about how they managed to stop Occupy from occupying Union Square 24 hours a day. The way they did that was the Business Improvement District and the Community Board, which include residents of the businesses and apartments around Union Square Park, got together and said, we don't mind if Occupy uses the park during park hours, but we must keep the park viable and clean the park and so forth for people who come to visit the park for any other reason, and they have to share access to the park. They can't dominate the scenario. And we also have our business interests to look out for. And we don't want to hear beating on drums 24 hours a day anyway.
I don't blame somebody. I won't want to hear drums being beat.
No, they're perfectly within their privilege and their rights. Okay, however, Occupy on their end, they put Occupy up against like the police, which is only the arm of the business district, and the administration kind of leans towards the business district and the community boards. So in other words, they're outgunned 3-1. So, but they're not. Their application is improper. They ought to go to the community board because this park. Look at this. This park is a Union Square Park. This is not based on Whole Foods. Whole Foods was created for somebody that makes $80,000 a year. I know somebody who was involved in the setting up of Whole Foods. It's set up for a certain type of clientele customer. I want to finish the point.
You don't like Whole Foods?
No, I love Whole Foods.
Please
But here's the
focus on your thing.
Here's the thing. This park is a monument to the union struggles of labor. You don't read the things that these placards are saying underneath your feet. So Occupy has like this park is
history. It belongs to Occupy.
Right. This park is biased towards causes like Occupy. So where's the alien presidents? The alien presence around the park that's like shunting the whole the natural flow of affronting the issues confronting the United States, which is over extreme capitalization. Like the capital markets are just sucking all the money off the bottom, and there's nothing for these kids. These people are people who graduated high school. They're into the same things that other people were into. Acquiring houses, acquiring like condos, getting some form of employment. It doesn't have to be like 10 hours a day of grueling grinding. Everybody got this idea that work, in order to be considered work, it's got to be fatiguing, or like running a marathon or something like that. Where's the joy of work? They put all that in China. Now they got people in China. They're doing joyful work in China. They say, well, we're only paying 35 cents an hour, and they love it. Why do they love it? Because they got the joy of work over there. They don't have joy of work over here. They think work is penalization of some form. I can see the whole picture in front of my face. This extreme capitalization is just ripping these people down to nothing. They don't even have anything. And anything you come into this park with, if they see you in a certain way, they just rip you off. Because I've had computers stolen from me twice in this park. I've got about 8 bicycles, 2 brand new bicycles, stolen from me since I've been commuting from New Jersey to New York. I'm like, this is all about theft. This is
and when you go down there and complain about
they don't want to hear you. They
test,
don't even want to hear you.
but
because
this park belongs to Occupy, belongs to Union.
Yeah, this is a unionization thing. I got posters of people when they had 500,000 people converging this area with signs and placards, just like Occupy, talking about the administration, the regulatory agencies, the banking system, and they actually made them restructure this whole thing. The unemployment and the Social Security benefits and all. They made